is it possible that Kiri could be a Recom? Avatar Theory here, hope you're doing well and having a fantastic day. And I want to talk about a crazy theory or an interesting theory that I thought about after looking at the visual dictionary on Avatar the Way of Water and comparing it to some of the earlier photos on Avatar the Way of Water that we got from the Empire magazine. Now we know that Kiri will be played by Sigourney Weaver, and we know that Kiri is different from other avatars as well as the Na'vi, not only because of her looks, her eyebrows, the fact that she has 5 fingers, but also her interest in the nature, in the biology of Pandora, and that she just acts a little bit different, that she's front and center in the poster. And we know, looking at Quaritch as a Recom, he also has 5 fingers, he has eyebrows, he has some human-like facial features combined with an avatar, so we know that Recoms looks very similar to avatars in compared to the Na'vi. But looking at the equipment page or the equipment images of the visual dictionary, looking at the Recom breather, it does state that Recoms essentially need these to breathe in human air facilities to sip carbon dioxide every 2 minutes or so. And if you look at this image of Kiri looking at a video log of Grace or Sigourney Weaver, you can clearly see that she does have a Recom breather around her neck. Even the buttons, the button there in the middle, the side part of the Recom breather, everything is exactly the same as the Recom breather. So I mean, why else would she have a Recom breather around her neck if she's not planning to use it? Now the big question would be is how would Kiri be a Recom of Grace, as we know that Recoms is essentially a customized avatar that has the memories of a human, and we also know that Recoms are the RDA's primary muscle and special operations force, following instructions from the RDA's top levels and aiding in any extreme circumstances. That was the info that was given to us by the Empire magazine. So it makes me wonder, if Grace died outside of the RDA's base, outside of the RDA being able to retrieve her body, her memories, then how does Kiri, if she's a Recom, how does she have the memories of Grace? Now the thing is, if you look again at this image where she looks at Sigourney Weaver, where she looks at Dr. Grace Augustine's video logs, then you can clearly see her expression in her face is almost like a sadness, like a lost memory, like you miss somebody that you had almost forgotten about in your life. That kind of mental thought comes to your mind, you've forgotten about how somebody looks, or just a memory that comes back to your mind. And one thing that wasn't shown to us in the first Avatar movie is that Grace, we didn't know that she kept video logs. Clearly here we can see that she does have video logs, and in the behind the scenes photo that was also revealed, we can see James Cameron with Norm at the back also talking to Sigourney Weaver, to Grace, and we can see that it is the same scene that Kiri is watching. So based on this, we can see that the RDA clearly has a lot of video logs of Grace Augustine. Now what I think, or what I theorize could happen, is the RDA could essentially use all the video logs of Grace, all the thoughts, because essentially you have to think that video logs is basically you putting your thoughts onto video, putting your expressions, your ideas, your just findings, just all your mind, putting your mind into a video. So if the RDA took all of the video logs they have of Grace and put that, essentially combine it in a file somehow and use that as a memory for Kiri, then essentially Kiri could then be a Recom based on that video memory from Grace Augustine. Now of course it won't be an exact memory the way they might have done with say for example Stephen Lang's character Quaritch or some of the other Recoms, because that might have been a different way of uploading a memory, hence why Kiri is a little bit different and why she doesn't exactly maybe remember everything about Grace Augustine. Maybe it's fragments of Grace's life, but she has Grace's personality, her interest, hence why in that one extended scene in the mid-credit scene of Avatar the Way of Water, we see that Kiri is underwater. She's very fascinated by all the water creatures, by the plant life, by everything, because Grace would have been the same. She would have been exactly the same and have that same curiosity about the wildlife on Pandora. Hence, again, why I think that Kiri, or theorize why Kiri might possibly be a Recom of Grace Augustine, of Sigourney Weaver. Hence also why she's being played by Sigourney Weaver. Now, as to why she is not with the RDA and why she is with Jake and Neytiri, that is up for discussion. Maybe maybe Kiri was technically possibly the first Recom. I said in one of my previous videos that it could be Quaritch that could be the first Recom, but in this instance, Kiri could possibly be the first Recom, and essentially a quote-unquote failed experiment where they could have had the first Recom be Kiri based on the video memories, the video logs of Grace Augustine, and based on that, Kiri could have essentially developed her own personality and her own thoughts, but in combination with Grace Augustine, and then basically ran off, and then that's how she ended up with Jake and Neytiri. And then the RDA realized, using video logs does not work. Using video logs doesn't make the Recom do what they want. That's why they moved to do a different way, using actual memories of humans, and that is why maybe in that instance, then Quaritch was the first Recom, first successful Recom. So Kiri could have been the quote-unquote first ever Recom, but a failed experiment, and Quaritch could have been the first successful Recom working under the orders of the RDA. Now again, focusing on the image that you see on the screen at the moment, seeing where Kiri is looking at the video log, you can see there at the back middle, it definitely looks like it could be Spider, possibly standing there by her side, realizing that she is kind of realizing where she got her memories from. Because again, if this theory is true, if Kiri is essentially a failed Recom experiment based on the video logs from Grace Augustine, then she could, stand there and realize that this moment could be the moment that she realizes that she was a creation. She was not born natural. She was a creation by humans. She was a human experiment, and her thoughts is not necessarily her own. Her feelings, her opinions is not necessarily her own. She could realize there that Grace Augustine is the person that she got most of her personality from, and then in the scene you can imagine it can be play out something like Kiri could say something like I'm just another creation, I'm just a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing, and then Spider would be like you're not that, you're unique, you're Jake and Neytiri's child just like me, we're all the same. Because you remember Kiri and Spider are the two adopted children, so in that instance Spider could comfort her and be like we are siblings, we are family, we're both we share the same parents, and that is how he can maybe convince Kiri to be like she can realize that she is her own person, she's not some sort of creation, she's not some sort of Frankenstein's monster kind of thing. But I can just see the scene playing out similar to that, and again, this is why I think that it is only because of that Recom breather that I spotted after looking at all of the images over and over and over and reading some of the text and looking at the older images that we saw previously, and then I spotted the Recom breather. And again, if Kiri is not a Recom, then why would she have a Recom breather? That just doesn't make sense to me. It just completely doesn't make sense, because clearly the description says that Recom breathers are for Recoms in human air facilities. Kiri is standing here in a human facility. She has 5 fingers, eyebrows, everything like an avatar, but she's not an avatar. And Quaritch also has 5 fingers and eyebrows just like an avatar. We know he's a Recom, and we know he has a Recom breather based on that one image that I spoke about earlier where he's standing in a lab. So again, it only makes sense that Kiri is a Recom, possibly a failed experiment, like I said, based on the thoughts of a video log from Grace Augustine. But that is just a crazy theory. It might possibly be not true. It's possible that this is a complete the movie might do a 180, but let me know in the comments below what you think of this theory. Do you think that it is possible that Kiri is a Recom, the first possible Recom, a failed experiment by some means? Let me know in the comments below, and for more Avatar content, have a look at the rest of my channel. Until next time, have a fantastic day and stay safe.